Welcome to your residential real estate market update for Saskatoon for the month of October of 2024. I'm Brad Chisholm with eXp Realty and happy to be your host here. So let's get into the numbers. Man, it is interesting times right now here in Saskatoon. I know easy to say that kind of anywhere, but it's been very, very interesting times, like unprecedented numbers here. We're going to discuss a little bit, but yeah, pretty interesting stuff. So in October of 2024, there were a record high number of sales, 444 units in Saskatoon, highest October on record, which is 17% year over year, so 17% higher than October of last year, and almost 30% higher than that 10-year average. So October continued to be a really strong sales month here in Saskatoon. So that's the good news. The sales are still happening. There's still lots going on. And inventory is continuing to be a challenge. I know this is something that we've talked about lots over the last couple of months. Nothing's changed yet. We're not seeing anything changing as far as the overall numbers of houses that are for sale. In fact, there was 803 units available on the market in October, which is it's less than 2 months supply. So we're still really strong sales, still really low inventory, which of course means that we're continuing to see prices increase here in Saskatoon. In fact, the residential benchmark price here in Saskatoon was $402,600 in October of 2024, which is nearly 7% higher than what it was October of 2023. So 7% increase for the city of Saskatoon, as I mentioned before, is significant. We're continuing to see prices climb. Now, there is a bit of seasonality that often creeps into, it doesn't creep into, but right, real estate's a seasonal sort of market. So often when weather starts to get colder, like in October, we see sales numbers kind of start to drop off, and into November and December, things are usually slower. We're not seeing that right now. We're still seeing really high sales numbers. And I think it's just because of that pent-up demand here in Saskatoon. Like, there's still lots of buyers who are looking for places to live. Still not a lot of inventory. So as we get into those winter months, I think we're still going to continue to see higher than average number of sales. Time will tell, but that's definitely the trend, the direction that things are going. I want to mention a couple of specific numbers regarding the inventory levels here in Saskatoon. In October, there was 803 houses that were for sale, which is the lowest number in October since 2006. It's the lowest October on record since 2006. I mentioned last month what was happening in 2006, 2007. We saw some really significant price increases during those times. So that's just definitely something to keep an eye on. So 15% lower than where inventories were last year, and 49.4% lower than 10-year averages. So about half of the number of houses that we usually see is what's available right now. So definitely putting some pressure on the market, upward pressure as far as where prices are going to be going. So let's talk a little bit about price growth and activity here in Saskatoon. So first of all, the neighborhoods in Saskatoon that experienced the largest amount of price growth year over year in October of 2024. Coming in third place was Wildwood. It grew 9.9%. North Park was second, growing at 10.8%. And Forest Grove had the highest amount of growth over October of last year at 11.1%. So Wildwood at 9.9, North Park at 10.8, and Forest Grove at 11.1. So those are the neighborhoods last month that were leading the charge as far as price growth here in Saskatoon. It's interesting, these neighborhoods are all three of them are well-established neighborhoods, quite a mix of entry-level houses, larger houses, smaller lots, bigger lots. All three of these have some kind of unique features. It's yeah, all three are not new. Lots of different options for home buyers and sellers in those neighborhoods. Now, which neighborhoods were experiencing the most activity in October of 2024? Again, third place was Wildwood with 40 sales and new listings. So there was 19 sales, 21 new listings for a total of 40. Brighton was next with 49 sales and new listings, and Stonebridge came in the number one spot with 49 as well. So I guess there's a tie for first. Stonebridge and Brighton both had a total of 49 new listings and home sales combined. And Wildwood was in third place with 40. So what's interesting about I mentioned the detached price growth in Wildwood was at 9.9%, and a lot of activity with 19 sales, 21 new listings in Wildwood. Wildwood it's an interesting neighborhood. When I saw these numbers and I looked back and there's typically a lot of activity in Wildwood. It's on the east side of the city in Saskatoon. It's definitely an established neighborhood. It was built out kind of in the mid 80s. So, 45-year-old neighborhood. But there's lots of condos. There's some gated communities. There's some newer houses that are in there as well. So quite a lot of different options for home buyers there. And it's interesting that we're seeing a lot of price growth in that neighborhood, as well as a lot of activity. I wasn't expecting to see that in an established neighborhood like that. The other two neighborhoods with the large amount of activity, Stonebridge and Brighton, those are both still newer developments, and you'd expect to see a lot of new sales and a lot of new listings there because houses are constantly being built there. But Wildwood was an interesting one. Wasn't expecting to see that. So to summarize, we had a record high number of sales in October of 2024, 444 sales, which is 17% higher than October of 2023, and it's 30% higher than the 10-year average. So still a really strong month for sales. Inventory continues to be a challenge. We've only got 803 units available, which is about 50% below what it usually is. So inventory is still definitely a challenge, which we're seeing now is putting upward pressure on prices. Lots of neighborhoods are experiencing significant growth in significant price appreciation in those areas. And it continues to be a very active market here. We'll see how things go once the snow hits. Typically things tend to slow down, but I don't think this is going to be a typical winter. If you've got any other questions, if there's specific information that you want to know about, please feel free to reach out anytime. I love nerding out on this stuff, so give me a shout. See ya.